Hey everybody, thank you so much for coming to this video. Today's date is the 20th of February 2022 and the local time is 12:06 p.m. on this Sunday. And yeah, I've been sitting in my place, and the day before yesterday I noticed that I started to have an allergic reaction. My skin started to become red and very itchy on my face. And as you can see, if you look at the video that I put up before this video, you can see how my face normally looks, and you can see how it looks now. This is a result of the gang stalking. In my previous videos, I've mostly touched on how they use chemicals to make, well, not chemicals, I mostly touched on the helicopters, the airplanes, and how they track with police officers. But one thing that I don't mention very much on my channel is how they use different chemicals to cause different changes to occur within your body. For a very, very long time, they have been injecting chemicals into the living environment that cause my stomach to hurt. It causes my stomach to bubble. It gives me constipation. Or it has the opposite effect. It gives me diarrhea. It causes me to wake up in the middle of the night because my stomach is bubbling. A lot of different things happen. They have another chemical that they use, and the chemical literally makes you very, very, very sleepy. And when they first started using that chemical that makes you very sleepy, it was in Chicago. I was living with my mother, and we were living in South Chicago. And I had come to the discovery that the lights that they were putting up had cameras inside of the lights. And this is what it looks like. I'm attaching a video, well, an image here of the new type of lights that you see. If you go to cities like Los Angeles or San Francisco or Chicago, you're going to see that these lights are the new normal when the street lights that we used to have were just fine. But anyway, I just wanted to let you know that because a lot of people don't know it. But yes, these lights do have cameras inside of them, and it's a perfect place to put a camera because it allows police officers to track chemicals and monitor cities and neighborhoods. And it also allows them to be able to keep easier track on targeted individuals without the target's knowledge. So even though the target may not see suspicious cars in the neighborhood or suspicious faces or people on the street, who are walking past them and stalking them, the cameras will always be able to pinpoint their location, even when they leave their house without any cell phone, computer, tablet, or any other device that can track you. And by the way, if you have a driver's license, they can track you by you just carrying your driver's license. They can track you because there's a chip inside of your driver's license or your ID, and or even your passport. So even if you're with this and you don't have a phone or anything else with you, they can still pinpoint your location. I learned that when I lived in Chicago, and in Chicago they don't give you your driver's license on the spot. It's not just Chicago. There are many other cities that don't give you your license on the spot. But I bring this up because if you're a targeted individual and they see that you go to the DMV to get your driver's license or your state ID card, they will track your ID card and make sure that your card is tapped so that when it does arrive in the mail for you, it will already be contaminated with their tracking, and they'll always be able to pinpoint your location. It's something that probably a lot of law enforcement officers know, but they don't really share it. They don't share it because it's not meant for the public to know. But within the realm of those who are working in law enforcement, those who work as ambulances and firefighters, they know about how your documents, such as your identification cards, can contain a chip that allows you to be tracked. But anyway, back to what I was originally saying. I was really talking about how they pump chemicals into every place that I live. If they know that I am going to... Oh, I just looked at the clock and it said 4:44, and that means that I'm divinely protected, and I do believe that, and it also means open doors. But anyway, yeah, the point I was really trying to make is the fact that they pump a lot of chemicals in here, and now they've used a new chemical that has caused me to break out. If you look at my face, you can see that I'm swollen here. You can also see that I'm swollen here and here. This is not something that I've done. It's not because I haven't been getting enough rest or anything like that. It is what they have done. And this is what, being a target individual is about. It's not just about them knowing your address and sending suspicious cars to your neighborhood. It's also about the other things that we have to go through. And this is one of the reasons why there are a lot of targeted individuals who look very washed out and exhausted and malnourished and depleted in every sense of the word, because they've been exposed to these chemicals. And some people just think that it's a change in their body, and they don't assume that it is the result of chemicals that are being pumped into the environment. And let me make you aware of the fact that, just because they are pumping chemicals into the environment, some of them don't have an odor. Some of those chemicals are odorless, and you only can guess that there's a change in your environment with chemicals after you start to experience the side effects. You do the process of elimination, and you know that you're not sick and that you're not around anyone else who's sick and all of this other stuff, and you know that it's chemicals being pumped in. For example, when I was in Beirut, Lebanon, I was staying in a neighborhood called Ashrafiyeh. Well, it's actually Sassine, which is very close to the Lebanese American University. And the reason why I'm mentioning the name of the neighborhood and all of that is I like to out the people who are responsible for causing me harm. And the person who I rented from was a Lebanese man. His name was Naji. And, Lebanon now, they're going through a financial crisis. But anyway, Naji had an incentive for doing what these people told him to do. And he loved the money. And, of course, they're going to pay you if you're doing all of this manual labor to harm someone who you don't even know. But anyway, that was when I first experienced a chemical where they pump bacteria into the environment. They made me constipated. I literally could not go to the bathroom for 1 week, literally. And then I would always have to take laxatives, and it would work for 1 day, and then back to the same old thing with not being able to use the restroom. And as I'm talking to you right now, I'm not touching the computer screen, but I'm on the YouTube page, and the YouTube screen, the page just moved up as if I were touching it with my mouse and adjusting it. So that means that they're aware of that I'm making this video. Not that I ever thought that they would not be, but they are behind everything that is linked to bad luck that is happening to me in my life. But anyway, they use a lot of different chemicals. So, if you're in an environment, it's important that if you feel like you feel different, go out. Don't stay inside. Make sure that you detoxify your body. Get a whole bottle of castor oil that's about this big, not a big one, but one that's this big. And about once or twice a month, do a castor oil detox on an empty stomach so that you can detox those harmful chemicals that they're pumping into your environment. Because when you don't detox, they build up and they collect in the fat cells. And that's not good. But doing just a simple detox with a bottle of castor oil and drinking about a gallon of water to wash it down and to get your bowels moving and cleaned, that's very important. You can use other things like charcoal when the cleanse is underway and after you start having bowel movements, because the charcoal peels, they will help bind to the bacteria and the toxins in your system so that they can easily exit your body. It facilitates what the castor oil cleanse is meant to do. Something else that you can do is have lemon water and green tea and just go on a 24-hour cleanse with just having clear liquids after you do the castor oil cleanse. Obviously, the cleanse can get a lot more complicated and intense depending on what you want to do. But just doing castor oil on an empty stomach the first thing in the morning is enough to make you feel a lot better. It takes away the aches and pains in your joints and muscles due to your body being overly burdened by all of the chemicals that they're pumping into the environment, and that your body's absorbing. And if you've never done a cleanse before, it's going to be a very dramatic effect for the good and for the bad. It's going to feel really bad because your body is getting rid of all these toxins, and it's not used to doing that. And there are just so many toxins to be gotten rid of. But after it's over, you will feel absolutely amazing and like a new person, and you will feel 5 pounds lighter. And it will give your body the reset that it needs. And yeah, if you're going to do this cleanse, just make sure that you stay home for at least the next 24 hours. You probably will not be very hungry because your body will be in detox mode after the castor oil is activated. But yeah, I just want to say in this video that I'm doing it for you, but I'm also doing it to let them know that I know what they're doing, and I know that this is a result of their actions, and that's why my face is swollen and other parts of my body are red and swollen because of this. You know, if you're used to hearing sirens in your environment because you're a targeted individual, and there's a day where you stop hearing these sirens, and it's very quiet outside, mysteriously quiet, know that there is something up. Or if you're used to seeing chemtrails above where you live or above where you work, and there's a day where you don't see chemtrails and it's a clear, beautiful blue sky, know that there is something up. But yeah, I wanted to put this video out there, and I wanted to basically let people know that yes, this is something else they do. They pump harmful bacteria into your environment. You would wonder, where do they get this bacteria? I don't know. It's probably some of the bacteria that they use for warfare. You know, like their military bases all over the place. And if there ever is war, different locations have to be ready with already having the things that they need in case they have to swing into action and go into war. They need chemicals. You know, it's biological warfare. And my mom was the one who told me about this term, biological warfare. We think that it's something that's only spoken about by people who are conspiracy theorists. And we think that biological warfare only happens in Afghanistan and in places where there is an ongoing war. But no, this stuff is everywhere. And quite honestly, even if these chemicals were supposed to be in places where there is an ongoing war, it has become lucrative to have them in places where they're not needed. And that's why the Targeted Individual Program is so successful, because they're able to punish those who are being targeted by making use of the chemicals that are not currently being made use of in Afghanistan. I wouldn't be surprised if there are high military leaders and high generals who support gang stalking and targeted individuals, and they told the government, oh, we need chemicals for biological warfare so that if the enemy tries to attack us, we will be ready and be able to fight back against them. Telling the military leaders or telling other people that that's why they need it, but really in the back of their head, they have a better use for it. And as a matter of fact, the better use that they have for it is what they use it for more than in times of war. I hope you're following me. I'm kind of stumbling today. But anyway, yeah, telling them that the chemicals are for one thing, when really at the back of their head, they know that it can be a good tool to subdue or to punish those who are being gang stalked, those who are whistleblowers, those who are targeted individuals. So yeah, I wanted to definitely bring that out. Yeah. I don't know about the Vietnam War very much because I don't like history. I really don't care about history. I'm going to be honest, I don't. But, when they were in Vietnam and they were getting the cocaine or the opium or whatever it was that they were getting, weren't they bringing it back to America and selling it in the ghettos of Harlem and other neighborhoods? And that's how the drug crisis got started in America. I'm not going to go too much into detail with that, but what I am going to say is that when people tell you who they are, believe them. When they show you who they are, believe them. It doesn't matter what country you're in. Everyone, there are only two gods, okay? Let's get that straight. There are only two gods. There's one God who's good and one God who's bad. And quite honestly, with everything I've been through as a targeted individual, I really do have to question if Jesus Christ truly exists. I'm just having one of those days. There are days where I question, does he really exist? Because no matter what I've prayed, the situation has continued. But there are other days where I have to say he has to exist because I'm feeling good today. In the midst of the trial that I'm going through in my life, I feel happy. I feel like there are not so many burdens in my life. I thank God for waking me up this morning. I thank God for allowing me to be in perfect health. No day is ever the same, but I can say that I have supernatural strength due to everything that I've been through. But when I say that there are only two gods, what I mean is that, people can say, oh, I'm Muslim, oh, I'm Christian, oh, I'm Buddhist, oh, I'm agnostic, oh, I'm Catholic. But at the end of the day, there are very bad Christians out there. Trust me, I know. I've been Christian all of my life, and there have been many Christians who have hurt people in my family and who have hurt me. And regardless of me being a little boy or a grown man, they have never changed and they have no desire to change. Same thing for people from all religions. So instead of looking at the specific religions that make you different in terms of the practices that you have, let's just look at who does right and who does wrong. In the Bible, there's a scripture that says, who may eat at the table of God? I can't remember the scripture, but it says, those who have clean hands and clean hearts. And that's really what it boils down to. It doesn't matter if you're Christian. It doesn't matter if you say that you're Islamic, whatever. Do you have a clean heart? Do you want to treat others fairly? Does your heart hurt when other people are mistreated? Do you have clean hands? When it's in your power to give to the poor, do you do it? Do you ever raise your hand against someone to hurt them when they've done nothing to you? So that's why the Bible says that those are the people who can enter into the gates of God. Those who have clean hands and a clean heart. It doesn't say all those who are Christian. It doesn't say all those who are Catholic, all those who are Muslim. No, it says those who have clean hands and a clean heart. Christianity and religion is just man-made, and it's just about certain practices, the way certain things are done. Religion is kind of like an airline, if you really want to get down to the nitty-gritty. Emirates, they may have meal service that takes place like this. They may give a hot towel to passengers in coach. Delta Airlines, they have a snack service that's like this. They don't give out free alcoholic beverages like Emirates. And also, in coach, they don't give out hot towels on flights that are under 1 hour. Okay? JetBlue is like this. Southwest Airlines is like this. They all say that they're getting you from point A to point B, but the way they do it is differently. And that's the same thing with religion. They say that, we have our differences, the difference in ways in which we do things is what makes us the right religion, when in actuality that's not the case. Okay? At the end of the day, my goal is to get from point A to point B and to have a nice flight attendant on board. Same thing with religion. If you have a religion but you're not efficient, you don't live by the rules of your religion, it's pointless. It's kind of like people who say, I'm from New York, or I'm from Northern California, or whatever. They think that their city defines them, when no, that's not the case. It's the other way around. You define your city. Don't hide behind the name of your city. Hide behind your reputation and the things that you do in your active life, because that's really who you are. So that's what I mean that's what I mean when I say that there are two gods. There's the one who's good and there's one who's bad. It doesn't matter what religion you are. You're a good person. Okay? I can be friends with a Muslim, I can be friends with a Buddhist, or whoever, or a Catholic person. I'm Christian, but a Christian person could very well not be welcome in my house. A Muslim can very well not be welcome in my house. A Buddhist person can very well not be welcome in my house. I look at the inside of the person. I look at their hands and their heart, just like the Bible. And before I even knew that that scripture existed in the Bible, I was still looking at those things, at those two qualities to determine if I like someone or if I don't. I have a cousin, and he has memorized chapters and chapters and chapters and chapters and chapters of the Bible. Oh, good job. I wish I could do it in a way. I do, because that's interesting, but I just don't have the time to do it. But the main point I'm trying to make is that he's not a good person. Okay, so who cares that you can memorize all these chapters in the Bible? At the end of the day, you still gossip. At the end of the day, you still are a low down, two-faced, dirty dog. Okay, it doesn't matter that you used to preach. It doesn't matter that you used to do these things. You're not a good person now. That is what we're looking at. You don't even treat your family the way they need to be treated. You talk behind the backs of those who have done nothing but be nice to you and welcome you. You know, so that's what I mean. And I know this video is about, I've rambled on and off a lot, but this is just the way I felt like making the video. I'm not one of those YouTubers who go on and just state the 5 things that are meant to be stated and finish up the video. Me, I'm more about quality and coming from the heart. That's why you don't get videos from me very often. But when I do make a video, I try to make sure that it's information-packed. Actually, I don't try to make sure. I make sure it's information-packed because that's the only time that I make a video. But if you believe in sending good energy and prayers and stuff like that, please send it to me. Because the things that I'm going through, they're not right, and I would never do this to other people. And, I just look at my life and look at how a lot of things I've worked hard for, they've not manifested because of being a targeted individual and being tied to my mother, who they targeted. Yeah. But anyway, I just want to tell you to stay encouraged. Everything will be okay. This is just one day. This too shall pass. And we have a lot to look forward to in our future. Who knows what tomorrow will bring. Hopefully it will bring many positive changes and developments and everything. And hopefully we are getting stronger. And hopefully God is using our experience as a targeted individual for something which we know not is yet to come in our future. Hopefully, when we look up in the future, God will elevate us and he will allow us to be in positions of authority, because most of us became targeted individuals because we were whistleblowers and we reported situations that should have never been. We saw things going wrong in the world, and we reported them because they were wrong. We didn't let people get away with doing crazy, terrible things. And this is what happens when we do that. So, if God does ever give you a job again, or if God ever allows you to rise to a position of authority, use your experience as a targeted individual to know that when people report other people, they go into persecution. So as a leader, you should be reminded to always protect those who blow the whistle on others. Always understand that though no one is saying anything, maybe they are being targeted. And it's your responsibility to praise them for reporting things that should have never gone on. And to do your best to be of service to them if you feel like they are being targeted. The whole reason why we're being targeted is to shut us out of society so that other people don't catch on to what we're doing, and so that they do not learn that reporting and whistleblowing is good and that it's impactful. They want to paint the opposite message, that whistleblowing leads you down the road of being a targeted individual and losing your job to where you can never rise again. That's what they want. That is the message that they want to send. But if I ever rise again to a position of authority, I'm going to run a tighter ship than I ever imagined I could ever be capable of running. The sad thing about being a targeted individual is that though we all have this crazy phenomena in common. If we were all put in a room together, we may not like each other. That's the reality. I've reached out to targeted individuals on other channels, and I just know that they wouldn't like me for sure. And that's fine. And it's really sad that that's the case, because our enemies, they also may not like each other aside from their work, but because they are gang stalkers, they know that in order for it to work, they have to stick together. You know, they understand something very fundamental that we don't understand, but yeah, that's that, right? That is that. But look, I'm just looking at my face making this video and looking at the allergic reaction. And I'm just thinking about, people who are so dirty to do such a thing just because I'm speaking out on videos. Just because I'm telling the truth about things that have happened to me since the year of 2012, because that's when I became a targeted individual. 2012, in the summer, living in San Francisco. It was very subtle at the beginning, but then after they saw that I was going to take their bull crap, and that I was going to keep fighting and trying to rise, even though that was the opposite of what they wanted me to do, then things got a lot more aggressive. I was literally a victim of police brutality in South Chicago when I was sitting in a park on a Sunday afternoon on a very sunny day, sitting on a park bench, studying my flashcards because I was learning a language. 4 police officers, 4 police cars, they came out of nowhere. And they told me to drop everything. And they literally jumped out of their cars. They appeared like lightning out of nowhere. I didn't even see this problem boiling up. I didn't see it boiling up. I didn't see that this was going to happen. I didn't feel like anything negative was going to happen. But that's what happened to me. They searched all my items in my backpack, and they saw that I had my passport, and the fool, one of the police officers that was aware that I was a targeted individual, because when they send the police officers, they send a few good ones and they send a few bad ones. The bad ones sometimes, and I can't say always, but the bad ones sometimes are the ones who stand in the background when things are going down, and they put the good ones in front to handle the situation. So that, because they know that if you're a targeted individual, you know the police are after you. Therefore, you're already sensitive to having an interaction with them. Therefore, whenever they confront you, you are going to be somewhat aggressive towards them, perhaps, because you're already agitated, because you're already stalked by them. And the police officer who you're interacting with, who doesn't know perhaps that the targeted individual program exists, is wondering, why are you blowing things out of proportion? Why are you so aggressive? And all this stuff. They're not understanding that you're a targeted individual and that the police officers harass you for nothing. They think that you are just being aggressive and overreacting. That's why they mix them in. They mix the good ones in with the bad ones. So that if anything happens, the good ones are the ones who file the report, and the good ones are not tied to the targeted individual program. That's not always the case, but that is oftentimes the case. So for me, on that day in the park in Chicago, there was a Latino officer, and he searched my items and saw that I had my ID card. He looked in my wallet and started looking through all of the ID cards. And he saw that I had an ID card from the University of San Francisco, and he looked and asked me 2 times if I went to the University of San Francisco. Surprised that a black person went to the University of San Francisco. Surprised that a black person even went to college. And I just asked him, and how is that important? Because how was that important? All of you show up and you say that you had a report that I was carrying a gun when I wasn't. and you search my belongings, and the police officer who's the dirty dog, who does know about the targeted individual program, he's the one who's searching my belongings and gets my passport that's been canceled, by the way, and goes back to his police car alone and radios it in. And he gives me contact when he grabs the passport, thinking it's a new passport and thinking that it's a new passport number, because he thinks that that's the new one with the new number that, of course, they want. And yeah, he finds out that that's an old passport and they already have that passport number. But just a fucking fool. Fucking fool. And then after it's all said and done, after they say, "Oh, we got a call. Someone fit your description. They said that, oh, someone fit your description, had a gun, blah, 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 blah." And then all the police officers leave the park. And then 5 minutes later, there's a police car that is not marked. And it's like a brown-colored Ford SUV. It drives back through the park, drives right in front of the bench where I go back to sit down. And two police officers look at me, two white men, and they say, "Where's your gun?" And then they drive off. And that's their way of letting me know that, yes, we know that you didn't have a gun to begin with, but you're a targeted individual, and we wanted to scare you up because we're tired of you leaving the house, because we're pumping a lot of chemicals into the apartment, and we want you back at the apartment. So we want to condition you that when you go out, every time you go out, you're going to have an uncomfortable experience like this. And we want to make you so scared until you don't go out. And quite honestly, after that experience, I literally did not leave the house for almost 1 year, literally. I would go out, but I would always carry my phone with me. And I used to not do that because I knew that they could track me with my phone. But even then, I didn't feel comfortable going out. So much so that, the first time I went out with my phone was about 4 to 6 months later. And I went to Hyde Park to get a haircut. And the moment, for a few minutes, I turned off the phone, they were very angry because they wanted me to keep my phone on, because this phone had a removable battery, and when I took the battery out, it made it more difficult for them to track me. So they wanted to condition me to keep my phone on so it makes it easier for them, and they don't have to regroup and try to find out where I am, or if I'm trying to escape someplace, to make them look stupid because they lost me. And I was catching the bus getting ready to go back to South Shore Drive from Hyde Park. And a police car drove in front of the city bus, blocked the bus as I was getting on the bus. And I did not turn around. And the police officer, if I would have done like this, I would have literally touched him. And the bus driver knew something was up. The bus driver was a black man. He knew something was up. He knew that they were messing with me. He didn't say anything. And the reason why I bring out race and the fact that they were two white men and the police officer the bus driver was a black man, is because even though, it can have targeted individuals come in every race, I think that being black makes me more vulnerable because, blacks have a bad rap in society. Regardless of whether or not they deserve it, they have a bad rap. And if anything were to happen with an African American in Chicago, the first thing the public would think is that the black person did something to deserve it, or he didn't comply. When in reality, it's the fact that this black person is a targeted individual and he did everything right, and then the police officers, they acted in a hot-headed manner. So that's why I bring up race. Because that gives them more, are you going to say that people are more likely to say that a black person looks suspicious or they're behaving suspicious, therefore justifying police intervention. Like I said before, a few months before, when I was in the park, they said, "Oh, someone fit your description. They said you had a gun, blah, 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 blah." But anyway, I didn't turn around, but they wanted to convince me not to turn off my phone again. I'm happy I didn't turn around because he was expecting me to turn around so that he could confront me and harass me. And yeah, that was my experience in Chicago. And the experience was so bad until when I went, my aunt was hospitalized because they were pumping so many harmful substances into our apartment at 7345 South Shore Drive in Chicago, Illinois. They were pumping so many harmful substances into the apartment until my aunt got very sick and had to be hospitalized at Northwestern Hospital in downtown Chicago. And when she was hospitalized, though my mother had the power of attorney, they would never allow my mother to make any of the decisions because they had been contacted by the people who are targeting me and my mom and my aunt. And even though my mother had the power of attorney, they would not honor it. My mother knew what was best, and my mother also knew that the doctors were being contacted to give my aunt medication that she didn't need and medication that interacted that she had adverse reactions to. And they told the doctor to give it to her anyway. And my aunt trusted my mom more than she trusted her own daughters and sons. But the doctors allowed my aunt's children to intervene and to make the decisions even though they didn't have the power of attorney. And the reason why they allowed that to happen is because all four of my cousins, who are the children of my aunt, who's no longer living, they thought my aunt was crazy because they did not believe that the targeting individual situation really existed. They don't believe this even to this day. Over 2 years after my aunt died on May the 19th, 2019. But the reason I bring this up is because the main reason I bring this up is because after I was harassed in the park, I might even say it. But the main point I'm trying to make is the fact that this situation of being a targeted individual runs very deep. And it's very important that you take very good care of yourself because you don't want to be in the hands of someone else. And I'm making this, obviously I've talked about a million different things in this one video, but I don't want to make another video. Hopefully you have 37 minutes plus to listen to the things that I presented in this video. I wish you all the best, and I thank you so much for subscribing to my channel. If you have any questions, please ask, and if I don't respond to your question, it's because I believe perhaps that you are a gang stalker who's created a fake profile, and perhaps you're trying to ridicule me indirectly by making comments when you already know the answer, or by thinking that you've tricked me into believing that you're truly a genuine subscriber when you're targeted, when you are a gang stalker. Obviously, I'm having a little problem talking today, but yeah. So I wish you all the best, and definitely do a cleanse. Go get a gallon of lemon water. Get 2 or 3 lemons, put the lemons into the water, and then do a cleanse with castor oil so that your body can be purged and reset. And by the way, I told my mother to do this exact same thing, but she's very stubborn. She thinks that because she's been to college and has a degree that everything that I say is not as important because I don't have as much education as she has. And also, being a former Marine, she thinks that she knows best about how the things that are required, and she thinks that because I have never been in the military and all this stuff that I don't know what I'm talking about. But I kept telling her to do a castor oil cleanse so that she can rid her body of all of the harmful chemicals that are being pumped into her environment, because the castor oil cleanses, it's a tonic to the liver. It cleanses the digestive system and the colon, the small intestine, the large intestine, everything. I told her 3 times, so when I tell her things, she doesn't listen, so I have to tell her 3 times, and she still doesn't listen. And I have given up on her. But I told her to do this cleanse, and when the people who were tracking me heard me tell my mom to do this cleanse, they got very upset because they know it works. So they got very upset with me for telling her to do something that they knew that she needs to do, even though she doesn't know. And what they did is, that was when I was in Beirut, Lebanon, in the summer of 2019. 21. So it was around June or early July. No, it was June. Middle June. The middle of June, 2021, Beirut, Lebanon, in the apartment that I was renting from Nagy. When I told her about doing those cleanses, that's when I first started having the digestive problems, and that is when they first started pumping the harmful chemicals into my environment that made me constipated for over 1 week. Even laxatives would not help. And when I would go to the restroom, pus would come out of my stuff because I had such an infection in my system from all the chemicals that they were pumping. And that was all because I had repetitively told my mother something that even to this day, almost a year later, she has not taken heed to doing. You know, sometimes you just have to let people go, even if they are family members. And, me and my mom are in it together. And she knows about the targeted individual situation because we're in it. And, I want to help her and I want to sustain her life. Because no other family member believes it. None of my aunts believe it. And none of my cousins believe it. So that's why I'm very adamant about drilling things that I've learned into the mind of my mother to help her. But it doesn't work like that, It doesn't work like that. And I really hate that my video was so long because everyone has time to watch a 5-minute video, but they don't have time to watch a 41-minute, 38-second video, but or however long. But everything I'm telling you, it's coming from the heart. I can't talk to my mother about these things because she served a long time in the military. She formed that bond with the military, and it's very difficult for her to conceptualize. It's, sometimes the truth can be right in front of you and you just can't conceptualize the reality of it because you spent so much time believing something totally different. You just can't change your mind so easily, regardless of the truth that is constantly being presented to you and thrown at you. So even though we've been in this and she knows where the targeted individual program stems from, I feel like she's still slow to wake up to the reality of what these people are capable of doing. And that's really a bad place to be. It's a sad place to be. It's a bad place to be. But I am a little bit tired now, looking at myself in the mirror and looking at how my face is totally swollen. And how you see these hives on my face? Do you see? It used to not be like this. Well, it's never been like this ever before. It's because of what they're doing. Look at that. Look at how puffy. If you look at my other video, you can see that it wasn't like this. But anyway, this video's been very long. Take good care of yourself. Go out for a walk. If you're always stuck inside of the house, don't do that. Because if they are pumping chemicals into the environment, you're getting all those chemicals. Vary your schedule. Go out someplace you never have gone before. Get some fresh air. If you're in Los Angeles, you're the luckiest because the weather year-round is amazing there. If you're in San Francisco, you're still good, in a good place. Take good care of yourself, really.